eyes. I went to bed asleep with my fucking eyes open. That's how locked in I am.
Philadelphia Eagles are world champions.
Hey, got it! Yeah!
Let's go Phillies! Woo! KJ and I out here.
You are now listening to the Appreciate Your Input podcast with host Dalton Holland. A proud 302 Birds podcast experience. Now let's take it to the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Appreciate Your Input podcast. My name's Dalton Holland, and of course, I appreciate your input. Thank you for tuning into tonight's show. We got a lot on tap, starting off, of course, with, well, let's address the elephant in the room. It is Selection Sunday. Everybody wants to know where to get their March Madness picks. I brought some pretty good guests for you guys tonight, including Fratty coming up here in a second, who's going to help you guys out with your March Madness picks. We're going to be debating on what is the best and worst fast food restaurant. If you had to eat one for the rest of your life, what would it be? Let me know in the comments now and why. And then last but not least, for our final topic, we're going to be talking about Malachi Starks potentially coming to the Eagles. The Eagles adding another Georgia Bulldog with my man Joey Havens. But hope everybody's had a good weekend so far. This is a little nightcap to it. But let's go ahead and get into the elephant in the room, which is March Madness is here. Fratty, how you doing tonight, brother?
Doing all right.
You getting ready for March Madness?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting ready for March Madness here. I just got done picking my first bracket as I'm sitting here. I was fastly filling it out.
Okay, so who's your champion in that bracket? Do you have any spoilers for us?
Any spoilers? So I'll get to this portion. I'll go through this one portion. I got UC San Diego, the school from La Jolla. I got UC San Diego going to the Sweet 16. I got Yale upsetting A&M. I got a few more upsets notable upsets I have. I have High Point beating Purdue. And yeah, those are some of my upsets. This is just my first of many brackets I'm doing. This is not even the CBS one, Dalton.
I love it. I like the High Point pick a lot. What made you pick High Point in that?
I just think, here's my honest opinion, Dalton. I think Purdue is absolutely overrated. Every time they make a deep run one year, like last year they made a deep run. Every time a team that makes a deep run, besides UConn, they lose in the second round or earlier the next season. And Purdue they're choke masters. They're really choke masters. They lose in the first round. They've lost in the first round a couple times. They were one of the victims of the 1 seed losing to 16. They're just overrated. I think the point is high. The point is high for High Point. And I just think Purdue's overrated. I think High Point is well rested. They're very well rested. They've been off for over a week now, about a week now. And I really think that High Point is going to upset Purdue just because Purdue is one of the more overrated teams in the tournament.
High Point it is. I like it. I'm writing it down. How about North Carolina? I know I'm a Tar Heels guy. They kind of slipped into the tournament. Do you feel that they deserve to be in there, or do you think that they just got in there because of their program and who they are, and they didn't really deserve to make it?
I think they got in there because I think those 2 wins in the ACC tournament made a difference. I just think the way they played Duke was the stepping stone into them having a chance of making it in, because think about it this way. North Carolina Very good team. Do I see them making it a deep run? No. I do think they're going to lose to Believe it or not, I think Ole Miss is going to beat them. I really do. I think
I
Ole
could
Miss
see
beats
that.
them in
I
a
could definitely
squeaker.
see that.
But Dalton, I'm gonna be kind enough. I think there is no way San Diego State beats North Carolina in the first four. Are you kidding me? I honestly, just to be quite honest, I don't even think San Diego State even belongs in the tournament. And I'm not saying this out of a mean way, because I do have a friend named Charles, who's an older guy. He's not a really big sports fan, who lives in San Diego, lives near La Mesa, and he does live near San Diego State. But I don't mean to be mean to his team. I'm more kind to the team in La Jolla this time than I am San Diego State. And then San Diego State did make the national championship a couple years back when they lost to UConn. So they didn't. They have been in the national championship recently. That was a surprise run by them. Did not expect that. But um, yeah, that's the input. My input on North Carolina making it, and then I mentioned about San Diego State. I think Carolina at least wins one game in the tournament. That's the first four.
Yeah. I hope that they at least get one in the big dance. We'll see. I know Tennessee is probably my prediction to win it all. If I had to predict somebody, I think Tennessee's got a pretty good shot. They're a good team this year. And
No,
from what I've read, which isn't much, they have a really good chance. Duke, obviously, I know we talked about them. Cooper Flag coming back from his injury in the tournament. That should help them out a lot. Yeah, I think it's going to be a really fun game this year. Or not a fun game, a fun tournament this year. I will say, I really wish that St. Joe's or the Blue Hens would have made it. It would have been cool to have one of the local represented teams for the podcast make it to the big dance. Unfortunately, neither of them could get it done. I know KJ was pretty upset with the way that the Hawks season ended. He was texting me about it. Yeah, just wasn't really what we all thought it was going to be in the beginning of the year. Hopefully the Hawks will make it in the next coming years, or the Blue Hens, because I want some local representation. It would be really cool to see one of those local teams make it to the big dance.
but anyway, speaking of Tennessee, of getting your point about Tennessee real quick. I think I got them losing in my first bracket out of many of them. This is not the only bracket I'm picking, Dalt. I'm picking like all 25 in ESPN, different combinations to try to pick the perfect ones. But in this is the serious bracket. This is kind of like one of the main serious ones. I think Tennessee losing. I believe in the Elite Eight. I think I have them losing in. I think I have Houston beating them. Houston Cougars beating Tennessee. But this main bracket right here, I got Duke beating St. John's and Duke in the national championship. That's right. I got the Johnnies making it in there, Dalton.
The Johnnies, isn't it like their first time in the tournament in like how many years?
Many years, and I got them upsetting Auburn in the Final Four. In my main,
wow, what made you say that?
I think they're hungry. I just think they do, and I think St. John's is a very hungry basketball team, but I don't think they're going to win it all. I think Duke in a classic national championship game, Cooper Flag is going to hit one with 5 seconds to go. 5 seconds left.
Going to lose it.
And St. John's is going to lose it like within the last 5 seconds of the game. It could go to overtime too, but I think it's going to be a classic Duke and St. John's national championship. Everybody, and I think a lot of people will like to see that. I don't know. I'm trying to see.
That would be a really good matchup. I'll say I like the classic. Did it remind you of Butler and Duke? Is that why you said classic?
Yeah, classic. Yeah, Butler and Duke with Gordon Hayward. I remember those. I kind of remember it, but I don't fully remember watching the national championship because I was only 9 years old back then. But I remember them on ESPN talking about Butler being in the Final Four. I think I might have watched it, and I didn't fully remember, but I'm not sure if I actually watched the national championship that year because I can't remember everything when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, there's a lot of sports that goes on. Some people expect, I hear you, same thing. They're like, hey, did you watch the Philly sporting event this weekend? I'm like, do you know how many there is? You know what I mean? And they were like, oh, you can't watch every team. Eagles, obviously, I'm going to watch every game. There's only 16 of them. So it's a lot easier. But when you talk about the Phillies or the Sixers or even the Flyers, any of them, they got 160 games. It's really hard to keep up with all of them, especially at once. But Fratty, before we get you out of here, on your way out, any last minute March Madness predictions, or do you have any sleeper teams that you would say people should keep an eye out for?
Sleeper teams, and I want to say sleeper teams besides UC San Diego. A sleeper team out there. If I had to say another sleeper team, I forgot to mention this. Another team that we should watch out for that could upset a current SEC team, a team that doesn't really hasn't done a whole lot in the tournament and makes it almost every year, and who's been in there a lot. You got to look at the Drake Bulldogs. Drake Bulldogs are going to beat Missouri in the first round. They might lose in round 2, in my honest opinion, because Texas Tech is a good team. But Drake, if I had to pick anybody else that's an 11 seed, one of the 11 seeds as a sleeper, one of the sleepers overall, besides UC San Diego, you got to look at Drake, because Yale's already won tournament. Yale's won a tournament games. UC San Diego is the first time in. Drake is technically a sleeper because they always make it every year, but people sleep on them still. So, and they're going to be sleeping on them in the matchup against Missouri. So, that's the sleeper. That's one of my sleeper teams, and of course, I'll go with. I might have to say another team that's getting slept on, and I want to mention this before you take me off, Dalton, in a minute. I'm going to mention the Texas Longhorns. People should watch out for them too because they had a good SEC tournament. I do think, and I think they're going to beat Illinois. I think they win the play-in. There's no way Xavier's beating them. They win the play-in, they beat Illinois, and they fall short against Kentucky. But they could possibly make the sweep. If Kentucky screws up in any type of way, they can beat Kentucky's. But that's pretty much all I have. And Dalton, we're gonna you do this every Sunday. We're gonna revisit this. We'll probably revisit it. Maybe when we get to the what do you think? Sweet 16 or Elite 8?
Elite 8, I would say. Let's see. Pick one team on your way out who's going to make the Elite 8 for sure. I'll go with Tennessee.
I'm gonna go Houston Cougars.
All right.
That's
we'll
a lot.
Come back to this. Elite 8, I went with Tennessee. You went with the Cougars. We'll check in on it. And after that, maybe we'll do a Final Four prediction or a Finals prediction, better yet. See how accurate we are. But, Fratty, appreciate you for joining me, man. I hope you have a good rest of your night.
You too.
Sweet. Well, I know Joey Havens is going to be coming on here in a few as well to talk some draft with us. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this. If you guys could have one fast food that you could eat forever for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? Let me know in the comments. Start loading them up. I'm interested to hear. You got to keep in mind, you're going to have to eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. 365 days out of the year. You're going to need to eat this for holidays. You're going to need to eat this for birthdays. Every celebration, bad days, good days, doesn't matter if you're tired of it, you're going to eat it. So if you could eat one fast food for the rest of your life, what would it be and why, my friends? I'll tell you what mine is. McDonald's. Got to go with Old Reliable. Mickey D's, at least for me. The breakfast there is really good. I love the bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. Oh, it's honestly one of the things that gets me up in the morning, gets me really excited, weekend or weekday. If you're saying, hey, do you want to go get a McDonald's bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit? It's on like Donkey Kong. Complement it with an orange juice, or the older I get, sometimes I'll do a fountain Coke in the morning. Now you're cooking with gasoline, my friends. So you get that for breakfast. You have that. That's solid. Obviously, there's all the other options that people have, like the McGriddle. There's the McSausage. I know that the McPancakes. There's the McFucking everything at this point, right? There's the McFuck. But the McDonald's lunch is insane too. I've loved it since I was a kid. It's always been my favorite, despite the toy. I would say McDonald's lunch is very underrated, especially for how much money you spend. Don't get me wrong. I love Chick-fil-A. I love Cane's, some of those more upscale fast food restaurants, I would call them. But McDonald's is by far the best bang for your buck, especially if you have the app. If you guys know, if you got the app on McDonald's, the app is the best. Luke is in here saying that Burger King's good. Burger King's all right. If I go to Burger King, I'm getting the chicken fries, honestly, which I know sounds like an unpopular opinion, but I'm getting chicken fries and regular fries. Their Whopper's pretty good too. Their milkshakes are really underrated, but Burger King has kind of lost its flavor. When I was a kid, I used to get the Burger King original chicken sandwich. That, my friends, was really good. That was one of my favorites I think I've had in a long time. So I'd recommend that. But Burger King's solid. We got Havens in here saying Chick-fil-A hands down. Definitely 2 gas. I would go to Chick-fil-A if it was open tonight now because I see this comment. I want it that bad. But there's a lot of good ones. I think if you guys have ever been to Bojangles, that's a solid one. Bojangles is really good. And then it's funny because I was in the grocery store tonight and I almost bought their sauce. KJ and I went there before. If you guys have ever been to Zaxby's, oh my God, gotta try it. Zaxby's is so dang good. It's comparable to Cane's. Same thing. They'll give you chicken, fries, Texas toast, the whole 9. But it's just really good quality. And the Zax sauce, it's like cane sauce, but on steroids. So Zaxby's is by far one of my favorite. But if I had to pick one for the rest of my life, I would say that it would be McDonald's. For me, it's just old reliable. It's solid. I know what I'm getting. It's solid priced, and they have a good variety. I mean, hopefully the ice cream machine's fucking working. That's all I'm going to say, because if I got to eat it for the rest of my life, I really want the ice cream machine to be working. But moving on now to our next topic, we got my boy, Joey Havens, calling into the show to talk about the Georgia Bulldog that could potentially be a Philadelphia Eagle, the 2022 national champion. Joey, how you doing, brother?
Good, how you doing?
I'm good. Would you be excited if Malachi Starks became an Eagle?
Definitely. Add another Georgia Bulldog to the defense. They've done us well so far. I mean, honestly, yeah, we have a hole at safety, so yeah, that'd be a big help.
I think the nice thing too is that we don't have to pay a player like this for a couple years. That's a huge plus for the Eagles. But I feel like a lot of Eagles fans are not remembering the fact that 2022 national champion. So he has that experience with some of these guys on this team. He has kind of that chemistry already. What path do you want to see the Eagles go down towards now, or where would you like to see them channel that first round pick? Like, let's hypothetically say that the Birds do stay at pick 32. So who would be maybe like a dark horse pick that you would be happy with, or who would be somebody that just you think they should draft at 32?
So honestly, I know we brought up Malachi Starks. If he's there at 32, that would be somebody I think they should take. I have like my little like draft analysis things I've done. He's one of the people I had, and it's literally I noted before any of the free agency started. I said obviously we've got a couple people leaving or that could leave, and he's somebody he could come in and really fill a spot that we need filled. And honestly, other than him, I know there's quite a few intriguing like edge prospects. Obviously, everybody's going to want Abdul Carter, but in reality, he's going to be off the board within the first 10 picks, if not 15. But I think there's a couple I'm drawing a blank right now. There's the guy out of Texas A&M. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Nick Scourton.
Yeah, him. I've seen him. He's fallen into a couple mock drafts to the Eagles. I know I was researching him a couple weeks ago. He's not too bad, not too shabby. Just another guy that he seemed like he was always there, making a play when a play need made, or always at the ball. Like one of those people that's always at the ball no matter where it's at. Like whenever you see that defensive lineman when they're way down the field, and you see the defensive lineman hauling down the field to stop the tight end who just caught it and is running an extra 10 yards. That's who Nick Scourton was reminding me of, or That's what I was kind of seeing from him. So that would be a solid pickup too for this Eagles defense.
Yeah, they need somebody with the high motor. Like
Mhm.
Josh was talking about it in the group chat, and he said, "Oh, they lost the personality. They lost a wild card." And in a lot of ways, I laugh because I think it's funny, but also in a lot of other ways, it's like, yeah, you're right. Like you do need that vocal leader. You do need that guy on a football team that can kind of be like, "Yo, what we're doing right now is not enough. We're capable. We're better than this." Somebody that's not afraid to demand more out of their team. I do think that Scourton has that high motor, and also he could be that vocal leader. I don't know anything about Malachi Starks yet. I just think that the fact that he has chemistry though with this team, and the fact, like I put up there, that he's a 2022 national champion, that's a good sign for Eagles fans. That's why I would really keep an eye on him. Like Howie's going to like that. That's something Howie's going to hone in on. He's going to go to the Georgia Bulldogs that he just won a Super Bowl with and they'd be like, hey, what's your opinion on this guy? Do you think that he would be a good fit in Philadelphia? Because we just lost CJGJ. And I'm sure Howie asked Vic Fangio before that happened, what's the easiest position for you to replace? Would you rather replace an edge or would you rather replace a safety? And I think he probably said safety or linebacker. It was probably linebacker too with Zach Bond, that big contract. And he probably said, it's really difficult for me to replace a linebacker in this system like that. It's going to be hard to find another Zach Bond. No offense to CJGJ, but when you look at what Zach Bond did, like people forget how good Zach Bond was this year. And I don't think it's going to be like one of those things in Philly sports that we talk about, right? Where it's like Jimmy Butler's like Tobias Harris over me. Like, I don't think he's going to come back and be like Zach Bond over me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't think it's going to be that. I do think that the Eagles are going to be happy with, if they had to pick the two, I think that Zach Bond's 100% the right move. Because Zach Bond wasn't just like a player. He was also a vocal leader. He led by example, and he elevated the players around him. So I'm really excited to see what the Eagles decide to do here in the draft, whether it's safety, whether it's edge. We'll find out. I know Dennis is in here.
Sidney Brown.
Time. I would love to see Sid Brown pop off and Trotter.
Yeah, Trotter too.
They got the DNA on the team, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But is there anybody like, what about Tyler Warren from Penn State? I mean, if they brought in a tight end, there's the Dallas Goedert rumors.
Yeah, that would be interesting because Dallas Goedert, I've seen a couple things now. It's like if they can't trade him, they might release him. So if they do release him, I mean, we're going to need a tight end. And I think Tyler Warren would fit perfectly here. Obviously, he went to Penn State. So you kind of get like Saquon Barkley to hop on the old like alumni train and be like, hey, come play with me, a former Penn Stater, you know? I don't know. But they're definitely going to have to find somebody. Honestly, either way, they're gonna have to find somebody young. I mean, Grant Calcaterra, he's good, so obviously keep him. But you're gonna have to find another backup tight end, and eventually either pay Goddard or Goddard's replacement. So that's either this year or next year. And this year, Tyler Warren, if he falls, Howie could make a move and snag him.
And how did you feel about CJGJ's departure?
It shocked me. And kind of what you were saying about like the vocal leader, I'm still kind of thinking like, who's that going to be now? Because obviously we don't know what's going on with like Brandon Graham, because that's who my first thought would be like, is he going to retire? Because obviously we know he's loud, vocal, but it's probably either maybe one more season. If not, this was his last season. And then you lose CJGJ. And the other guy I thought about was Darius Slay. So you lose all three of those guys potentially in an offseason. You're definitely going to have to find somebody to step up and kind of be that vocal leader now. And as far as like even play on the field, I mean, he definitely he snagged a couple interceptions from Quinyon this year, but on the field, his play, it's going to be hard to replicate. Sidney Brown, he's gonna have a tall task on his hands. Though I think he'll be all right. Dennis has got a lot of faith in him, so if Dennis trusts him, I trust Dennis. So let's hop on the Sidney Brown train for now, and till he messes up, we'll be happy with it.
Choo true. But you better believe the second he messes up, just like he's been on Blankenship, I know
Yeah, right.
somebody's going to have to play devil's advocate.
Sydney Clown is going to be his nickname if he messes up.
There you go. Joey's
Okay,
already ready
so
for it.
we'll keep it Brown for now. But if he messes up, if he gets torched like he did in the Super Bowl, this time he's a starter, so it's going to be a little more different. So it's going to have to be Sydney Clown. But for now, we'll stay Sydney Brown. All right.
Yeah, I think Sid is going to actually have a good year. We'll see. I know, obviously, you do too. Dennis does. We all know Dennis does. And shout out to you, Dennis. Thank you for joining, man. I appreciate you. I see you here in the comments. But I think Sydney Brown, I said it on another podcast a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was earlier this week. He's the highest capital invested in a safety that the Eagles have drafted in the past 3 years. Like, he's the highest draft pick that they decide to draft a safety. So if anyone should emerge out of that group, it should be him. A lot of people forget how dangerous he was as well at Illinois. He was a dang good football player. So I really expect him to have a good season for us and pop off. Tyler Warren is an interesting one too. I think Tyler Warren would be fun. I think if the Eagles do decide to move on from Dallas Goedert, that's almost setting you up for the future and saying, hey, if we do decide to draft a tight end, if we do decide to move towards the future, we're at least going to have somebody that's a really solid safety blanket for Jalen Hurts. And just like pretty much the rest of this team, we don't have to pay for 4 to 5 years. That would be a good move. I think that there are a couple other dark horse MVPs. Matt Bear's in here saying that if he had to have one fast food forever, it would definitely be Taco Bell. Ooh. Matt Bear, that God bless your ass and your asshole, man. I'm just going to fucking say it. I don't know why the hell you would pick that, but let us know in the comments, Matt, because that is a wild one.
I guess after you eat it for so much, you like build like an immunity or something to it.
Yeah. And then you got this, Joey. Here you go.
Dennis, that's why I said CJ. That's why I said for now it's still Sydney Brown. We can still be cool. We're still friends. For now, it's Sydney Brown. I'm not going as far as like calling him out his name just yet. Until now, when we play the Lions or something next year and he gets dusted, yeah, that's totally different. Then we're gonna have to come back and talk about it. But it's okay. For now, he's still Sydney Brown.
And these guys they're going to have mistakes. And I know Joey, even though he's joking around, he's obviously aware of that. Dennis is aware of that. They're going to have some hiccups here and there. But it's going to be really a tough task for them to go back next year. It's no easy ask to repeat what they just did. So the stakes are high. I do think that they will be okay, though. I really do. But what they do in the draft and where they decide to draft this capital is going to really matter. It's going to make an impact on whether or not they make the Super Bowl next year. It actually makes an impact on whether or not they win the Super Bowl that year too. Because you look at what they did. Cooper DeJean came in clutch. They took Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. If they would have decided to go for a different position in that second round, I do not think that the Super Bowl goes the same way. I think that the Eagles possibly still win, but I don't know that it's that much of an ass whooping. Like, you guys got to keep in mind, the Chiefs came back, and no, it wasn't a close game, but I think Cooper DeJean's pick 6 almost puts that mental dagger on Patrick Mahomes that makes it more of an uphill battle. Like, if you didn't have that, who knows? Maybe the Eagles still win, but it's a last-second touchdown with Saquon Barkley. So really the way you draft makes an impact on the way this season goes. You look back at Super Bowl 57, right? I said it that season. I did not think that the Eagles should have drafted Jordan Davis then. I just didn't. I thought it was a waste of a pick. I would have taken Kyle Hamilton right there, the safety out of Notre Dame, who was killing it for the Ravens that year. If the Eagles would have had Kyle Hamilton on their team, there's a great chance that Super Bowl 57 doesn't go the same way that it does. And could you imagine if the Eagles had a player like Kyle Hamilton with Reed Blankenship on the team right now? They would have never had to bring back CJGJ. That would have been insane. Nothing against CJGJ. I'm just saying that if I was drafting this team by need, by position, that's what I would have done. The Eagles already had Fletcher Cox in Super Bowl 57. Not 59, 57. So they didn't really need another defensive tackle, but they still went out and got one. I don't even really remember Jordan Davis playing much of that Super Bowl at all. So, I mean, say what you want. I'm sure he played a little bit. But for Eagles fans, the way that they go out and decide to draft this team and build this team is definitely going to make an impact. I just pray to God that Howie Roseman is not getting hit in the head with any beer cans or anything like that before he goes out there. But Joey, do you have anything you want to say before we wrap up draft-wise?
I'm interested to see like what'll happen, but honestly, it's Howie's a wizard. Howie's gonna do something crazy, I'm sure. So just stay tuned because you never know. Honestly, with everybody leaving and everything, who knows? He could do a trade, and we could see something like what happened with like the Titans a couple years ago, and we trade for some star and out of nowhere, it's like, oh, and instead of picking somebody, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you would feel about that, but like I feel like in this instance, honestly, the way we're sitting, I kind of don't want that unless like they're willing to come here on like a team friendly deal and it's somebody really good. But I think either way, Howie knows what he's doing. So and Howie we trust. But if next year again, like it's just one of those things, like if next year we have a little bit of a up and down roller coaster kind of thing, then Howie, you're on the hot seat.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's
he's got to nail it, right? And there's nobody else in the world that knows it more than him. He knows what he's doing. If you look at his track record, it holds true. 3 Super Bowls in 7 years, 3 appearances, and we've won 2 of them. That's a 66% success rate. So I think that if you look at what Howie Roseman has done, there's nobody that's better at constructing a football team than him. I have confidence in him. I'm actually just really, I can't wait. I'm like shitting my pants last minute waiting to see what he does because you never know which way he's going to go. But we'll find out. Anyways, Joey, appreciate you for joining me, man. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. And I appreciate you for jumping on here,
you
too.
yes, sir.
And let the people also know where they can give you a follow, too, please.
Yeah, check me out on Instagram at 302 Birds Joey. I'm gonna be doing draft stuff coming up. Obviously, like we do the 302 Birds quotes and everything like that.
Yep.
But check me out on 302 Birds Joey and all the latest for Eagles, Phillies coming up. Can't wait.
Stay tuned. Thank you, Joe. Make sure you guys give my man Joey a follow. Like I said, he's crushing it as far as the draft game, as far as the prediction game. Me and him were doing some whiteboard predictions before the season got ended. I know we're going to be bringing them back next year. Having a lot of fun with it. So stay tuned. But as far as the draft goes, if there's anybody that we missed and you guys want the Eagles to go ahead and pick up, let me know in the comments. Just some quick basics on Malachi. I mean, he's a 6'1", 197-pound safety from Georgia. He's also from Jefferson, Georgia. He's a 5-star prospect. He's a top 15 prospect nationally. And some of his strengths are his IQ. He's got a great ball hawk, I think. He's great at playing the deep ball, and he plays really good at like kind of turning his shoulders, body control, you could say. And I think he's also able to mirror and kind of like imitate what his receivers are trying to do, match them. He's just somebody that has really good athleticism and knows how to use it. So if I was the Eagles, I would be mindful of that. Some of his weaknesses, though, I think are he can slow down and catch contact when trying to tackle running backs. So I think he can kind of hesitate a little bit. I want to see him get a better pursuit. And I think that sometimes he can lose connection at breaking points when playing man. So there is a couple points where if a receiver is like a deep threat receiver, if they really want it, they can take it and they'll just go. So he needs to get a little bit quicker on that front. But as far as everything else, I really like what I've seen from him. I like the chemistry, and I think it would be a great pickup for the Eagles. I also had a couple other topics on here. I think I want to save them for next week when we have more guests. I know it's St. Patrick's Day weekend, so everybody's got some plans going on, and obviously so. But I think next week, Letty, okay, Mac, if you're listening, Mac, the show will be a little bit better. In all seriousness, if you guys do want to come hang out, though, or call into the show, let me know. I'm going to be doing this all summer long. all fall long, however long. This is appreciate your input, and I appreciate yours. Next week, I think I'm going to be doing the other topics I mentioned that we didn't get a chance to do on the show, like what is the best time period. I want some people here for that, so I'm going to work on some guests next week. Just had a last minute, was relaxing down at the beach. Actually had a relaxing weekend for once. That's why I'm cutting the show a little bit quicker. But March Madness will be in the full swing of things next week, so get in your brackets. And if you guys want to sign up for 302 Birds Bracket, join our Discord. The link is in the bio and our link tree, and you can get in on all the fun. I think we're going to be doing a $5 buy-in. Other than that, hope everybody has a good weekend. My name's Dalton Holland, and I appreciate your input.